This is Secrets to Win Big, brought to you by Arjun Sen, an acclaimed brand zen with over 30 years of global impact, who has been called one of the most business intelligent minds. His never give up journey in life and business inspired the global blockbuster movie by Shujit Sarkar, I Want to Talk. Find him at www.arjunsen.com. And now, here is your host, Arjun Sen.
Welcome to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen. Today, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Abhishek Bachchan. And the thing Abhishek shared with me makes it incredibly special to me is this is his first ever podcast. Wow, truly my pleasure and honor. Welcome.
No, pleasure and honor is mine, Arjun.
So Abhishek, to start with, I want to embarrass you a little, okay? I sit on the other side of the screen, watch movies, not a critic. But there was a particular scene in the movie when you were running. My wife Chitra and myself, we watched, she was there that day, and she said, "Is AB mimicking you?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She said, "The way he's huffing and puffing, the way he's dragging one of his legs, is exactly you." Okay. And we both watched you. And then I talked to her about a moment in an elevator in that building we had to go up and down. I got in the elevator, you were there. Of course, you being polite, you greeted me. But then you were back in your script as if you're studying for IIT JEE exam. Like you were at it. And every time I would watch you, you not only knew your lines, you knew everybody else's lines. And I realized, holy crap, acting is not for everybody. Like this is a very complicated profession. So I really wanted to share that at the very beginning to help me understand how complicated acting is and how you made it simple. Okay. So I want to now go into the movie. What was your first reaction when you accepted this role? You and Shujit started the partnership. What went through your mind?
Well, firstly, thank you. But I don't receive that as a compliment. That's my job. I feel an actor should be prepared, immensely prepared. Mm-hmm. An actor, I think it is, I don't know how else to work, but an actor should know the entire script. Mm-hmm. He should know the entire scene, what everybody's dialogues are. Because as the famous adage goes, acting is reacting. How can you react correctly or truthfully if you're not aware of what the other person is going to say? Now, there is a whole school of thought which says, okay, I want it to be very instinctive. Nothing about filmmaking is instinctive once you start making the film. It's all manufactured.
Wow.
That's acting. So I think it's very important for actors, and if there are any actors who will see this, to be immensely prepared. And that's just what you need to be doing. And I think just knowing your lines and knowing the scene and the direction of the scene, the emotional arc of the scene is absolutely essential. Those are my beliefs. There have been opportunities where I haven't employed that skill set to try something different, but by and large, I prefer working like this. I was very aware that Shujit Da, because I've known him for several years, had a similar approach, which is to do intense prep. So he said something very nice. He said it's like eating a very heavy meal. You eat everything properly, chew, swallow, savor the taste and all that, and then let it digest by itself. Give it its time, and then. So our prep, I knew, was going to be long, extensive, and then once you're prepared, he's prepared the actor, or I'm prepared for the scene, and then whatever happens in the scene, as instinctively as possible, happens. So I knew he had this approach, so I was very keen to do that. I've been a huge admirer of his work, and what he likes to say, but more importantly, how he likes to say it. I like the fact that he manages to find a lighter outlook to life. Life is tough. There are no easy days. But to manage to find a reason to smile through all that, I think is so nice. And I find that a very unique quality of Srijit. So I was very keen to work with him. We were actually in Melbourne, of all places, for a film festival, independently. And obviously knowing each other, we decided to have a meal together. And during the meal is when we just started, discussing a possible collaboration. He said, okay, there's something in my mind, let me get back to you. And when he did, in fact, it was exactly where we're sitting in his office. And he didn't even tell me the story. He just told me a kind of a character outlook. And immediately I just knew that, okay, I want to be a part of saying this.
What do you mean by character outlook?
So he didn't tell me the story. He didn't tell me about you. He didn't tell me about your journey. He didn't tell me about Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. He didn't tell me anything. He said, I have a friend, and life has been very tough to him. But he's still the funniest guy that I've ever met.
Nice.
And I just love that attitude, and I want to make a movie on that. And I said, I'm on. Because inherently, you can see that there's great scope for drama, for everything. Because somebody who has so much strife in their life, but still happens to be the funniest guy, it's an amazing combination. I remember reading somewhere many, many years ago when I was in acting school that the best comedians are actually the saddest of people because they always have to put on the mask. Mm-hmm. That dynamic has always intrigued me. So that's all he told me. And I said, yeah, let's do it. Because coupled with Srijit's aesthetic, the way his storytelling ability, and this inherent tension about here's somebody who's going through so much in life, but still happens to be the funniest guy and is facetious about everything, which is our favorite word for the promotion.
Absolutely.
I just thought, this is brilliant. This can grow into something very interesting. And that's when I said yes. And he said, okay, I'm glad. Now that I have you in mind, let me go and write it. And then it took a couple of months. And he wrote it, and then he came back and he told me the story that he was wanting to tell. And that's when, the pages unfurled, and obviously you go from one plot point to another, and a lot more emotions came into the whole thing. But the immediate start was just this. And just on that one line is when I was hooked.
Love that. So when you talk about me being funny, and you must face the same thing with the daughter. My daughter always told me, every time I start a joke, Dad, you're not funny. Okay? But I never stopped. Finally, on my 50th birthday, I created a tagline for myself. I will be the world's first sit-down comedian with guaranteed one laughter. And that will be mine. Okay? And she said, Dad, I have to give that to you. Because nobody sits down and does it. And you laugh at your own jokes. And I'm like, that's it, that nobody can. And she even made me this really cool cup. So, but humor has been, really important, especially if you look at in the medical field. In any other field, you can have a good day or a bad day.
Yeah.
We don't walk to a doctor by saying, Doctor Saab, today I'm feeling awesome, man, high five. No, all going, sir, like if I'm on the other side hearing every person's pain, problem, a lot of them are fake, is depressing. And that's the part where humor became part of self-denial, but also changed the environment, because my grandma always taught me, happier grandma or Maiji means the food is better. Happier doctor means my chances are better. Okay. I want to go to specific areas of the movie. I know every scene is amazing and special to you. Any scene that jumps out, one or two that are very special that you'll take with you forever?
There's several, Arjunda. I've always found it very difficult to answer this question. Because part of me believes, we're often asked in interviews, which is your favorite scene in the film? And I've always said, if I have just one favorite scene, then why did I do the film?
Great point.
I try and look at an overall picture. What is the film trying to say? Do I believe in what the film is trying to say? Is that something I wish to say at that point of time? And would my daughter be okay seeing this film? These are certain things that I use as a criteria. This film ticked all the boxes. Arjun, we work in a commercial art. The commerce of a film, for me at least, is of paramount importance. If I am requesting my audience to purchase a ticket of their hard-earned money to go watch my film, I owe them.
Yeah.
I owe them not just my love, respect, and gratitude, but I owe them entertainment. I owe them their money's worth. That's always been the top priority for me. I'm a kid of the films. Both my parents are actors. I've been born and brought up in this film industry. This film industry has given me and my family whatever we have today. And I'm eternally indebted to the audience and to the industry. This is possibly the first film where I did not consider the commercial aspect of it. There comes a time in your creative journey where you feel you can possibly make a difference. I'll tell you a personal anecdote. I did my university in Boston University in Boston. I had already made up my mind to be an actor, and I was studying acting as well. But you always have this fear that, should I not? There's always that when I was about 19, 20, and you have that fear that, is this the right decision? Should I be? You're always questioning yourself. The one thing I knew, because I'd seen my parents, is your conviction in your action has to be 10,000% in the films. If you want to be a film actor, your conviction and belief in what you're doing has to be unrelenting. I felt I wasn't really there. I still remember I was sitting in a Nickelodeon just behind campus, and I watched a film. And it was a beautiful film directed by Tim Robbins called Last Man Standing, or Dead Man Walking, sorry. And Sean Penn, and I don't know if it was just the film or the performance or what it was, but maybe it was just that moment in time where I was sitting there and I saw Sean Penn perform, and I saw the film, and I came out and I walked out and went to the box office, purchased another ticket, walked right back in and saw it twice. And something at that moment just said, it's either this or nothing. Like I said, I don't know if it was the film, the performance, or it's just that at that point in time is when I was ready. I just needed that slight tip. And that was a moment for me where I said, okay, it's do or die. When you have that attitude, you have to develop a very thick hide. Because you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. I've always had the attitude that, can you learn from your mistakes?
Yeah.
When you manage to convert your mistake into a learning, it ceases to be a mistake and you start appreciating it. because you learn a lot more from your mistakes than you do from your successes. I've had a lot of ups and downs, and through my 25 years of being an actor, there then comes upon a time saying, okay, I want to say something that's inspirational. I want to do something that will inspire me and people around me. And when the script came along, I knew that this was it. So that is why just the commerce, having just that hat on, took a backseat. Because I felt this was a story which needed to be told, not because you're such a wonderful person, which you are.
Thank you.
But because of your resilience. And I feel in today's day and age, there's a huge need to reassure people that there is huge merit in resilience. I feel today, especially today's generation, we're about instant gratification. Well, I can't say we, I mean, the younger generation. It's about instant gratification. I want entertainment in a 30-second reel. I want instant news on my Twitter or X. I want to see what everybody else is doing and live vicariously through their Instagram post. I'm impatient. If a job is not working out, I have no regrets. I'll move on to something else. I think that's a wonderful quality. But there's also a lot of merit in resilience. At a point of my career, which was very low, I tried a lot of different things. They just weren't working out. I'd lost all confidence because, getting publicly bashed every Friday takes its toll on you. And I was disheartened. I was disillusioned. And I remember one evening I went up to my father at home. A film of mine had come and, I'd been taken to the cleaners, as they say. And my ability to take it on the chin was weakening. I mean, you get smacked by Mike Tyson on the chin 10 times, you're going to become a bit fragile. On some part, I've never liked to say it, but, why not? I think sometimes the critics relished the fact that they could trash me.
And bring it down.
And today I realize I gave them ample reason to. But I was weakened, and I in that state I went to my father and I said, Dad, I think, embarrassingly so, but and I'm ashamed, but I think I made a mistake. I'm not sure if this profession is for me because I've tried everything. I've worked with the best of directors, I've worked with new directors, I've done all genres of films, and nothing just seems to be working. And I'm not able to turn any of them into a success. I don't understand what else to do. I'm giving it my best, and obviously my best is not good enough. And I think I made a mistake, and I think I need to look at doing something else. And he reassured me. He said, look, I'll talk to you as a co-star. I'm not going to talk to you as a father. As a co-star, I'm telling you, you're nowhere near the finished product, but you're improving. With every film I see you improving. You have a long way to go. You need to work on yourself. You need to work a lot harder, hone your craft, but you're improving. Stick at it. I didn't bring you up to be a quitter. So go out and fight. That's resilience. And you realize, and then I went back to my room, and I was very emotional, of course. And I was just reviewing my father's life and the problems and the ups and downs that he's had. But he never gave up. He kept fighting. There was a time in the mid-90s where he had taken a sabbatical from films and for health reasons, and then started the first ever corporation in films in India. And part of his deal with that was that he had to get back to acting. He came back and he felt he was out of touch, and we went through a huge financial problem, had crores of debt, and he never gave up. And he said, I will not stop till I pay back each and every last penny. And he did. And look at him today.
Yep.
At that point of time, I remember he came onto the table. He said, guys, we're in severe debt. We have no money. I'm borrowing money from my accountant to buy the rations. And we need to think there's government agencies that are, come to collect money and stuff. And there's, I've been given a lifeline, and somebody wants me to do this TV show. And my reaction was like, yo, Amitabh Bachchan, you can't be on TV. In those days, it was unheard of. How do you make this my hero, who I see on 70mm, 100 feet tall? No, you can't be on television. He said, well, they're giving me money, and this money will help me tide things over. And let's do it. So reluctantly, I said, okay. And that happened to be a little known show called Kaun Banega Crorepati, which just turned things around. And next year, Arjun, it's going to be 25 years
Wow.
of Kaun Banega Crorepati. And he's the epitome of resilience. So when this story came about, I said, in today's day and age, it'll be so nice. We love cinema. I love cinema. I grew up watching Manmohan Desai, Prakash Mehra films, Yash Chopra films, Ramesh Sippy films. These are my movie gods. And I love everything about their cinema. But it's also nice once in a while, Arjun, that in the middle of all this noise and action bonanza, is to have this one clutter breaker of a film that comes in there and just makes you think. But more importantly, instead of just think, it just makes you feel. We've all been in those darkened theaters where you just watch maybe a very personal, intimate film, and you come back and you just feel so nice because it touched you in some way. I think it's time for a film like that as well. I love commercial Hindi cinema. I live for it.
Yep.
But it's nice to do something like this once in a while. And that was, I think, one of the overreaching aspects of this film that I really loved.
So as I'm listening to you, there's a saying, early days, when Vikings went to a new land, the first thing they did was burn the boat. Because the moment you take that option of leaving and quitting out, you play it totally differently.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's the part where when you talked about that movie experience, seeing it twice, I really felt that, I'm so glad you shared, because you see the world differently. The moment you say, I'm in. But then we are human beings, okay? Things happen. We get close to giving up. And then there's a Sherpa comes in our life who that day just needs to give you a shoulder to lean on.
Yep.
And I really think that as you're sharing the story, I think it's a thing that is bigger than this movie, the story of Arjun, is everybody's story. In everybody's life, there's a guarantee that you and I can sign for them that there will be a moment they will think they have a Mount Everest in front. Okay. The whole decision is, do I give up or do I continue?
Yeah.
And only if you continue, the Sherpa will show up. Because think, you wouldn't have had that magical moment with your dad. If you gave up, you could have done something amazing. Okay. And two things would have happened. You would have missed, and back in your moment, you would have had. Okay. I'll throw a very random story at you. Okay. I heard this story. I just couldn't believe this. Alexander the Great, 23-year-old kid, starts to conquer the world. I have no clue why people are following him. He goes to this first island called Island of Tyre. People have tried to conquer, given up. Everybody said, let's go, let's leave this. He said, no, we'll wait here. If we don't conquer, we won't. And as they conquered that, in their journey, unquit became very important because they never stopped. I want to go back to the movie a little bit, okay? I want to talk about a few scenes, not favorite, but they were very hard-hitting for me personally. One is when a doctor talks about less than 100 days, okay? I want to get a little bit of your feelings, if you are comfortable sharing. Like, how did you take us through those scenes? Especially that one moment, which is like very tough for me. So I want to hear from you.
Well, partly the magic of cinema, partly the madness of Shujitda. That particular scene was the first day we shot in the hospital in Hemet. And he was very nervous about the scene, and as you saw, he's so frantic on set. तो वो बोलते ना हड़बड़ाहट में. In that, the scene happened and okay, done. And I was driving back to the hotel and I'm like, wait, that was a really big scene. And I called him. He said, no, mil gaya. And then when I saw it afterwards, the context and the subject of the scene is when it hits you. But sadly, sometimes in cinema, because of circumstances out of our control, you can't really savor the moment the way it comes out eventually. I just loved, my favorite part of the scene is when he gets up, he picks up his clothes, he says, okay, fine, I'm not paying your bills.
Yeah.
Go collect your money from a dead man. It's very easy to, when you have a character like this, Arjunda, to become melodramatic about it. Or to become very intense and really milk it for what it is. I loved the fact that Shujitda didn't want to do that. I loved the fact that when we said that he's the funniest guy I know, I wanted to maintain that one aspect. There are very few moments in the film where Shujitda just lingers on Arjun wallowing in self-pity.
Yeah.
You don't see him do that. So even in that scene, it can be a huge aha moment. You have 100 days to... What? Wait. You made me a statistic. I've got 100 days to live. 100. I can do that. He didn't want that. His attitude was, I've got 100 days to... You're making me a statistic? 100? Okay. Where are you going? You need one? No, I'm going home. And I'm not paying your bills. Good luck collecting the money from me. It's such an unusual reaction.
Yeah.
And that makes it unique for me. So I love the fact that I never wanted to wallow. It's very tempting as an actor. And I'll admit to you, there were times where we used to debate it. I'm like, no, Shujitda, let's revel in it. Audience will love this. Make them cry. He's like, no, I don't want to make them cry.
Yeah.
I want to inspire them and I want to make them laugh. So once you have that attitude, you start focusing on that aspect of the scene. So very seldom did I get to actually work with the deeply emotional side of it. My weightage and concentration was always more on how do I end the scene with a smile. So I still remember there was a scene where we're in my house and I'm on the computer and I'm doing something and Rhea comes to me and says, I mean, for people who don't know, my daughter comes to me and says that I just got a call and your best friend has had a heart attack. And Shujitda just kept a very slow trolley coming into me from just above the screen of the computer. And I just looked down the barrel and I said, he's like, no, you just... So Ahilya came, she said the dialogue off shoulder and I just remember staring and he didn't cut. And I didn't say a word. I just kept quiet and unbeknownst to me, suddenly a tear just fell down. And he said, cut. Great, got it. I said, okay. He hasn't kept that shot in the film. And I asked him, I said, that was beautiful. He said, your best friend has had a heart attack. Reaction, cut. Because I want to go to the next.
Yeah.
So that was also part of the idea of let's not wallow in the sorrow.
Yeah, I want to go into in the 100 days, this is what happened in real life. Okay? There were two things happening in Arjun. One is, only way to say it is, I'm screwed. Okay? But then the second part of Arjun is proud that with my shirt, I've escaped these guys. Okay? My best friend is downstairs to pick me up. I don't tell him anything about the cancer. I said, but this is what I told them. I said, hey, kaam karte na. Let's call Clint Eastwood. Maybe he'll use the line. So in our car, he wants to know what is going on. He wants to focus on the 100 days. I am here. And halfway through, I fell asleep. Okay? Years later, we talked about like he felt I had got mad. But the thing was, I didn't want to talk about it one more time. I was very emotional by saying, Shujit, more things happened. But that was the magic of Shujit Sarkar's storytelling, was just to tell enough. Audience is not dumb. They figure it and they process with you. And that was magical. So I have a final question.
Okay. I've found one scene that really touched me.
Yes.
For three reasons. There's this wonderful moment where Arjun is sleeping and Rhea comes and says, Baba, I need to go get my shoes.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm in bed. Oh, anyway, okay. He doesn't like his daughter to drive at night, so he drives her to her mom's house and she gets the shoes. He comes back and he's obviously just come out of an operation. He's in a lot of pain and he goes back to bed, and within a couple of minutes she comes back. She's like, Baba, I messed up. I got the wrong pair of shoes. And he loses it. This is very wrong, Rhea. You have to be considerate. I'm in a lot of pain, this, that, and whilst complaining, he's still taking her and driving her. And he comes back and he's bitching at her. And she finally, for the first time, you see a spark in Rhea where she gives it back to him. And she says, you know, it's not my fault. I didn't choose this life. You all chose this life for me.
Yep.
I had nothing to do with it. And Shujita shot it beautifully on a staircase. And I just love the placement of it because Arjun is at the bottom of the staircase and Rhea is halfway up. And when Ahilya performed it, it felt very visceral to her, which she later told me how she felt about it. And I thought that was, I mean, it's a very cathartic moment for her as well. And she did such a wonderful job in that scene. It's so well balanced and nuanced. It's a scene where you can really go for it and scream and shout, and she didn't do that. I love that about it. And so just seeing the way she performed it made it very special for me. Secondly, because it's the first time in the film where you see somebody else's perspective.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so nice. That, oh, it's about me, but I'm affecting other people as well, and they matter. And that teaches you a lot in life, that we tend to get very indulgent in ourselves.
Yeah.
We get so caught up in ourselves, but you're leaving a lot of people in your wake as well. And especially your family are as affected, if not more, because they're dealing with you as well, and they're dealing with your troubles, and they're coming to terms with it, and they're grappling with it. And that was the first scene in the film that flipped the narrative on its head. And for me, as Arjun also, it made me realize, and it taught me a lot about life, that, you know, sometimes we get so caught up in ourselves that, hey, there are other people that your behavior could be affecting. And it could be affecting them in the complete opposite way, and they don't need to understand what you're going through.
Oh, totally.
And it may be not fair to them all the time. And people also have their moments where they just can't, you know, maybe not be that strong shoulder for you to cry on. And you need to consider the other person that is on this journey of life with you, because they're your partners in that. That was the second reason. And the third reason, which I don't know if okay, I'll say it. I remember we were shooting the scene, and he obviously put Ahilya shot first and the camera was down below, over my left shoulder. I was standing at the banister. And she had this emotional outburst. And I remember at one point in time, I just looked down and I looked over my side. And if you remember the placement of that, there was a sofa over there. And you were sitting there.
Yeah.
And you were slumped in your sofa like this. And you were just looking at me. And that just kind of threw shivers down my spine, because I also just realized that here we are, and we're having fun with the film. Shujita likes to keep a very light set, but that's your life.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that you experienced, and now you're having to go through that upheaval again. And that disturbed me. And I remember after the scene, I don't know if you'll remember, I came and I sat with you and I tried to speak to you, but you were done for the day.
Yeah.
And you said,
I was emotionally, because for that scene,
and that I said, wow, here's Arjun, and you were fun on the set. Oh, what can I get? Can we organize this, that? But actually, dude, it makes you realize the responsibility you have, because that's your life. And these are some very difficult moments to relive.
Yeah.
And to see it physically happening in front of you. So that scene is always going to be something that...
And I'm glad you picked that scene. Because in real life that day, Raka taught me there are three realities. My reality, that's what matters from her point of view. Yours and Mom's. And both of you create realities which is convenient to you, okay? And I just felt, wow, that's my baby.
Yeah.
And to me, I really think that was such a pivot for me in life as I started going through. Now that you talk about the couch, I really have to talk about, especially when I see the poster. If you remember, that scene when you were filming that with the showing your scar, you came down, being very cool, you told me, Arjunda, my scars are bigger than yours. I think I was waiting for that moment, because I told you mine are deeper. But that's the part where, going back every night, I would just be there at 7:30, 8, and after dinner I would leave, because I had to unpack my mind every day.
Yeah.
Because to me it was a choice. I really didn't want to be there to see the whole thing. But I also was falling in love with all of you guys. I couldn't leave you guys, nor could I just stay, so that was huge. So trying to wrap this conversation is, I asked you a lot of questions. It's only fair. You don't have to take this. Do you have any questions for me?
I think I've figured out your raison d'etre. I mean, having spent the last 1 year literally living inside your head, I think I've figured that out. It would be very tempting if I'd met you for the first time for me to ask you, what was the reason that you gave yourself every morning? But I think I figured that out. And I'll leave it for your audiences to see it in the film, and I hope they can figure it out, because it's not something that's spoon-fed to you. I don't really have a question. I have a hope. And I told Shujita this a couple of months ago. I hope we get that moment where we manage to see the film together on the screen. And I pray to God that whilst watching the film, once it ends in the end title scroll, I hope that you can tell yourself, you did a good job. Not to me, to yourself, that you lived a good life. And I hope that through the film you can realize what an amazing person you are and what an inspiration you've been, not just to me, but you will be to everybody who watches the film. And I really hope you kind of give yourself the proverbial pat on the back saying, you know what, mate, you did well.
That's very kind, and I don't get moments where I'm lost for words. But I want to put one thing in perspective. Every time a compliment like this comes, earlier I would just try to say, no, not me. Okay. But life taught me to have a balance of humility, but also to just pat yourself on the back by saying that song from Sound of Music, I must have done something good somewhere. And I just think that life is that balance. It's good that people who care about you see life in a more glamorous way. I also want to finish on a very simple thought. And that's what I would love this journey of this movie to be. Raising a Father book was written, marketing professional, I made a 20-page plan. Raka is at the age of 13, top 30, under the 30 under 30. She looks at the whole marketing plan. She says, Baba, are we hurting for money? I'm here. Then why are you being a constipated person? And I really told her, I hate this. Like, you cannot poo-poo an idea without giving me a plan. She said, I have a plan. She goes and writes, touch one heart. I'm like, okay, what do I touch? After one heart, what happens? She said, touch one more. So she gave me this whole concept that life is about that one person sitting in front, touch, wow, one person. One more. I really hope that becomes the movie, because the movie will not be watched in groups. One person will watch, another person will watch. I hope they feel wowed, they share. Life becomes a little better. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Let's hope so. That's true.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank
Truly a
you.
pleasure.
Thank you for being you.
Absolutely. Thanks.
You've been listening to Secrets to Win Big with Arjun Sen, an acclaimed brand zen with over 30 years of global impact, who has been called one of the most business intelligent minds. To learn more, visit www.arjunsen.com. Share this podcast with your friends and subscribe wherever you like to listen to podcasts.